Class Show, where 6 and 7-figure CEOs build their purpose-driven legacy businesses through proven branding, marketing, and sales strategies so that they don't have to sacrifice their income and happiness for their mission. Thanks for watching the Life School Masterclass show. Join our Facebook group community of badass mission-driven entrepreneurs, and come back next week, same place and time for our upcoming show.
All right, purpose-driven entrepreneurs, happy Friday. Can you believe it's Friday here? It's Friday already. I always feel like, oh my gosh, it's like these days are just like rattling by. So glad to be back with you again today with another amazing master class conversation, because I really find that every guest that comes on it really brings a different insight, and every conversation, it's like its own master class. So I really hope that you will walk away with really great info today, in a very, towards a very important topic that we have kind of touched upon many times, but I always find everyone brings in such a new insight from their experience. So Harry Spaight will be doing just that. We will be speaking about selling without feeling sleazy or slimy, in his brand words. Harry, thank you so much for finding time to come on our show today.
Lona, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me. And what is the good word, my friend?
What is the good word? So let's start with a little introduction. So I usually ask my guest, Harry, to, I guess, share with us a few of the most meaningful, I guess, points in your journey that led you to the work you're doing now.
Okay, so I
That
guess you.
always gives the audience and me a really great way to kind of have a bigger picture of your background, your story. How did you get to what you're doing now?
Okay, wonderful. So I won't start when I was 5 years old, but what I am a person that's been in sales for the last 25 years. But what makes me unique, Lona, is that before sales, I was selling something different. I was a missionary. So my wife and I traveled and spread the gospel, so to speak, and we spent a couple of years living in the Dominican Republic. And we left that work. I wanted to do something where I could use my communication skills, and finally found an opportunity that someone would hire me in sales. And I built a nice sales career being really the anti salesperson. I was just not cut out for the way a lot of people look at sales, is that me first, pushy, obnoxious types of people that we run away from when we see them. And I was one that always wanted to be liked. I wanted to serve people. And that's how I built my career, is finding a way to sell that was comfortable without being pushy, where I could be friends with my clients and good things were going to happen. And so I built a nice career doing that. Now I'm trying to share ways to sell for entrepreneurs so that they could grow their business. So that's me in a nutshell.
I love that, and good for you for being a rebel against traditional selling methodology. I'm not going to go into it further, but I share the same passion. So I love that. So great. So let's get into, why do we feel like selling is sleazy and slimy? What do you think are some of your personal experiences with where you now see the difference between that and also there's a better way? I'm sure.
Yeah, I'd say the first once I realized how easy it was to hang up on me whenever I was calling into a business, I went, "Oh, I guess I'm not going to be loved." I felt like, you know, that I have this personality, I can be very friendly, and you know, making phone calls and getting into those challenges of trying to sell your product or service, it's not necessarily easy. I don't refer to it as a grind, but I had to learn that I had to use my personality and not just sell product. So, like you and I just having a conversation, we immediately had a smile on our face. And that's the way I approach everybody, is find ways to get comfortable with people so that they will want to at least have a conversation with me. And then ultimately, if I'm selling something that could benefit from them, then maybe buy something from me. But in general, because sales is, I mean, we get scammed and spammed and tons of emails. We don't like to work with salespeople anymore. In fact, we find ways to avoid salespeople. So if we're doing that, if we're trying to avoid salespeople, then automatically we're thinking salespeople are not great. We don't want to be around them. So we have a negative view of them. And when we're trying to sell ourselves, well, that's hard to become positive if we don't want to be around salespeople generally, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, because we always find that they have an agenda. Relationship building is not their prime priority. It's about like, I gotta get a client. Even if you don't need something, they don't even make the effort to really understand your needs and wants and all that good stuff. So I'm not gonna spoil it, but yeah, this is gonna be really good. I'm looking forward to learning from you and your approach with that as well. Before I dive into what is the right way to do selling, like what are some of the things that you feel people need to know, and then we'll go into objections. I think it's a big topic and a nice topic to talk about, rejection and objections,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to this area. But do you believe in cold calling? What's your take on that, Harry?
Yeah. I think you have to be intelligent about prospecting. So, what the definition for some, maybe I should ask you, what's your definition of cold calling? What do you think of it as?
My personal definition, when I received a cold call, it's like I don't have time. I mean, I guess someone is trying to make an effort to make that first initial contact. So I appreciate that. I mean, obviously, I teach this. I'm a little more aware, I guess. But the average person, I see family, friends, people I work with, the first thing is like, I'm busy. I don't have time for this. Like, why are you calling me? Why you try to push something on me that I don't even need. So I think that's kind of the general thing. But for me personally, I mean, I guess I'm biased because I'm in this field, so I teach it. But yeah, that's kind of how I would answer your question.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. So, if you've never had a conversation with a person before, to me, that's a cold call. However, I'm going to research. I don't think you should call blind. I think you should know who you're calling and know something about them or their business and how you might be able to serve them. So that way you can lead with the other person in mind instead of leading with your product. So I could call you and I say, I understand that you're a coach, Lona. One of the challenges coaches face today is finding new clients. Is that something you experience? And then you might say, well, why are you calling me? Right. So that's where this is. And I would just say straight out, I'm calling to grow my business to serve people, but I'm not there to sell. That when people say, well, you know, are you comfortable saying I'm not there to sell something? I'm not really selling on the first call. I'm having a conversation. Now, it leads eventually to sales, but you see how semantics can be. And someone says, well, I don't like, you're not being honest if you're saying you're not selling something. Okay, well, I'm having a conversation. Sometimes people are not interested in what I'm offering. So am I really selling? So
Yeah, I'm here to
my definite,
introduce
yeah,
an offer. Yeah, I'm here to introduce an offer that might interest you. It sounds just more honest. Yeah,
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
your perspective on it. And you're
Yeah.
about to say something else. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah. So the answer to the question on cold calling is I think it can be warmed up by doing a little research. Know something about your prospect, find them on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. So then your call or the web, you can always Google the person and you can make a call where you have some kind of commonality versus complete cold nothing. In those cases, you have to say, I don't even know if this is a man or a woman who's going to answer. I'm just going to speak about what I do and see if they're interested. I'm not a big fan of that, but if that's what your business is, I'm not going to argue. But I think it's always better to do a little research and find something that there's common ground where you could start immediately with a little warmer invitation versus completely ice cold.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. I totally agree, right? Finding more information so that you also know how to serve them better. Always in service,
Exactly.
always in service. So great. So let's dive into, is there a better way? I have a huge audience of entrepreneurs. So, you know, this is like one of those things like love hate relationship, which we are talking about before. And it's like we know we need it, but it's like we hate doing it. And because of these experiences that we've kind of all had in the past, and we have such bad voodoo and drama connected. So we need some healing therapy before we go on the other side and kind of be like, is there an authentic way to do this?
Oh my goodness, you had me almost spitting in my microphone on that one. But I mean, I'll share. I had a very bad experience with a financial planner one time, and I could have just said, I will never ever talk to another financial planner again because they're all crooks. Now I could have said that, but I recognize that they're not all bad. There's bad apples. And so we just have to understand that people don't necessarily look at all salespeople as bad or people who are entrepreneurs and have to sell. We're not bad. We're the good apples. So for us good apples, I mean, I'm just coming up with this as we speak. So I guess that's your energy helping me here. So for the good apples out there, I just like you said, it's all about serving. So here's the analogy that I use. Go to a fine dining restaurant. We all like to eat out at a nice restaurant. And you think of a server that
Oh, Harry, I think we have some internet freezing issue. I hope you'll come back soon. Um, all right, so okay, I think Harry's back.
okay,
All right, I
we're
was
live.
about to go solo because I'm live, and I'm like, I'll just like fill in the
Yeah,
gap
that's
when Harry's
weird. Okay. All right. So
back.
that's interesting. So where did I leave off on that? Where did I drop?
I think you were talking about the example with the restaurant.
Right. Yes. So
Mhm.
in a fine dining restaurant, the server provides outstanding service. And most people, when they look at that, they're just thinking that the server is serving. But when the server asks if we would like a cocktail or a specialty cocktail or something off the wine list, they're selling. If they ask if we would like to hear about the specials, they're selling. If they ask if we would like to look at the dessert menu or they describe how delicious the desserts are, they're selling. So that type of serving is the where most of the guests at a restaurant don't even think that the server is selling, but they have a revenue number attached to them. The better salespeople who are servers get the better tables. So that's the type of selling I think we all can do where people don't even know that we're selling. We're just serving, and then we're asking, would you like to order the dessert? Or would you like to have a special? And we say yes or no. And no one's heart is broken, right? The server is not going and crying and saying, nobody likes me. Serving is terrible. They just keep coming back and serving some more. And if we imitate that to some degree, then our experience of selling will be far better and will allow people to say no without fearing that the outcome is terrible because it's not. We'll just move on to the next person. What's your thought on that?
Oh, that's beautiful. I mean, that's just seamless, right? And you just reminded me of, we're always selling to our friends and family anyway. When they have an issue or they looking for someone for a specific problem, if we know someone and we trust them, we're naturally just saying that, hey, here's here's who you need to call and take care of that. So
Right.
it's kind of reminding me that in a way or another, we're always doing it. We're just might maybe unconsciously doing it.
Exactly. Well, so along with that, Lona, I tell people that their first sale is when they came out of the womb.
Mm,
When they cried for mama, that was they're needing something, right? And they're pitching that here I am, I'm looking for something. And we have no problem in our infancy, as a toddler, as a child, in school. We sold to our parents, I'm going to be a good kid. Give me some candy. Give me the cookies. I'll clean my room. We negotiated. We got jobs. Everything we do in our lives, somehow we are trying to share our opinions, our beliefs, the reasons. All of that is selling, and it should be very natural,
Mm.
just as what you said.
I so highly agree. I always say we're always selling and we're always positioning ourselves everywhere with everyone. It's the way that we position ourselves to influence people to, achieve the things that we want to do, really. So I think we're always doing it in every level. Awareness
Absolutely.
is key.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing those examples because, storytelling examples always bring it home for people. And we always find ourselves in these day to day, routine things that we might take for granted or not even kind of understand. But when you connect it all, you kind of see the similarities. So I hope that they gave the audience some insights on that as well. So, what else would you share with us, Harry, based on your experience? Is there like a framework? Is there like something that we need to know to make this authentic? So I know we talked about serving, like doing your homework, knowing who you're talking to, making that first initial connection or impact with someone, I guess, and then always being that service mindset. What else would you say, based on your experience, is necessary to ensure that we are serving people at the highest level with our offers?
Well, so I love the question. And if you think about this idea of serving, is where can we apply it? And one of the things that came up in our conversation, you mentioned the word objection, right?
Mm.
Where we're making an offer and someone might say, well, that's more than what I want to spend, or I'm just really not in the market for that right now. Maybe someday, or maybe I need to get my spouse to, agree with this, whatever it is. We refer to these as objections in sales. I'm going to invite another word to come into that conversation, and the word is concern. When we think of objections, we are in a mindset that I have to overcome this objection to get the sale. If I overcome this one, I'll get the sale. And then the person raises another quote unquote objection. And so
Mm.
I've looked at it as, how about when we are buying something and we look at the price, do we ever get concerned about the price? Uh, Is there going to be a real return on investment for this? Am I going to use it? Is this going to give me the value that I need? Is this a good use of my money? These to me are all concerns. Now, if I have a salesperson across from me or someone trying to sell me on something, which I've recently had this yesterday, and the person said something along the lines of, this is what you need. And I went, don't talk to me that way because you don't know me. So when we go into this mindset that we know more than the buyer, then we're pushing. And my feeling is, get on the same side of the table as the buyer. If you picture a conference table, move your chair around to their side and just look at them and say, I'm here to help you work with these concerns. I'm here to provide some guidance if I can, because I've been in your shoes. I know what it's like to look at something and say, wow, that's a lot of money. And is that what you're really thinking? Because I can relate to that. So if we put ourselves, again, servant mindedness, and we say, I'm going to try to serve this person instead of try to close them, right? They're going to recognize the difference, right? Push me to close versus help me to get what is really helpful for me are two different things.
Yeah.
Agreed? Or what's your thought?
I love that. And I'm a big, I take away, I guess, the most important stuff there. But what stood out to me from what you said is um, build trust, hold space, be the guide, and show empathy. And
Yeah.
that, and ask clarifying questions to really understand what is bothering them so they get the clarity they need. Even if they don't buy what you have or the timing is not right, you still service them in that conversation. So you must feel good about that. At least I know I do.
Yeah. Well, think about, I
Yeah.
mean, I love what you said about empathy. Um, uh, Most people do not think of that in sales. Let's put it that way. But when you can empathize and be and recognize and just say, I've been in your shoes before, and I know there's a lot of choices out there, and then say, would you like to hear what you might be able to do? Or would you like to hear what someone else recently said? Or are you open to this idea? When you ask questions like that, instead of just coming back and saying, well, why is my price too high? What do you mean it's too high? What's too high? And it becomes accusatory. Or I've heard people say things like, well, everyone else pays it. I'm not going to drop my price. It's like they're not even asking, right? This is a concern. And why do you think they're asking? Why do you think they have this concern? Because it's an investment that they're not 100% bought in. They need more. And how can we serve them so they get it? That's
Yeah.
the way I'm looking at it.
Absolutely. Yeah, nothing else to add. And that overcomes, I think we're talking about objections because everyone wants to handle that. Like wants to kind of know how do I handle objections. But I think it becomes so natural once you apply those principles that we both talked about, because then it's an organic, natural conversation. You just ask for more information. Objection is just like ask for more information, see where they're stuck, see where they are, see what kind of insight you can give, what story you could share with them, personal or other people, to help them, to guide them through that process, and just let the leaves where they fall, and see where that it goes from there. So
Totally.
I think if we just remove all this noise, it's honestly a big conversation of service and just getting to know one another and seeing where we can help one another in that way as well. So at least for me, I kind of remove a lot of these things for myself because I need to also do it authentically and through my heart. And if I just go in with a lot of that, it just, yeah, I've been there, done that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we all have done it because that's how we know there's a better way. Because we
Right. Me
know
too, by
I
the
worked
way.
for a corporation for 15 years and I learned that framework, and I had to like completely reinvent and redo it when I was an entrepreneur. So I think,
Hmm.
yeah, entrepreneurship teaches you that you believe in what you have to offer and you just be the guide for that person wherever they might be in their phase and stage in life. And if you believe that you can help them, you owe them the space to help them navigate if that's a good fit or a priority for them at that point in time. So
Right. Agreed.
love it. Harry, we can go on forever. I would love to know what kind of details does your work entail? Do you offer programs for people? Who do you work with, and in what capacity you work with people?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking. I work with people individually and through group coaching so that they can sharpen their skills. And, one of the biggest obstacles I find that people have is selling to themselves, right?
Mm,
Selling that they are capable, that they have the skill sets, they don't need more and more, you know, I don't want to say coaching, but it's like you eventually have to do some of the stuff. And coaching is valuable. I mean, I'm a coach, but you actually have to do. So you can go from coach to coach to coach and never do anything. The thing is, you got to get started. And my thing is, let's get started, right? What's preventing us from getting started? Because the coaches don't ultimately have the answer. You do. We can be guides, but we're there to help serve and get you to be performing and be your best self. So they can find me at sellingwithdignity.com. or on any social media, finding Harry Spaight, but sellingwithdignity.com is pretty easy. And I love the conversation. We definitely could go on for a while here. So, like minds.
Absolutely. I love the name of your website, Selling with Dignity. We definitely need more services with dignity, sales people with dignity, entrepreneurs that, sell with dignity. And I love what you said. I find the same thing. Selling people on themselves, it's the hardest thing, even clients, team, anything. So I think it always starts with that. And as entrepreneurs, so easy to kind of just want to find the solution out there, framework, the scripts, all of that. And which is, I guess, great guides once you need the education and the skills at the beginning. But once you have all that, the rest, it's the other a hard part, which is you have to apply these things.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that through experience is the only way we learn, and then we develop. And we might be rough around the edges at the beginning, but just have more conversations. That's how I solve that problem. I'm like, I'm just going to talk to more people and just make this a mission until I figure out how to do it authentically. I never have to worry about it again. If it's a skill I need to master my business, then it's worth my time. And the only way to master anything is practice. So just talk to a lot of people and then just reflect, and experience will give you the insight you need, and you'll find your own words and things that make sense for you and align with you, and it will just eventually become second nature, just like anything else.
Amen. You
Amen.
nailed it.
Harry, thank you so much again for everything you shared. We'll definitely stay in touch through our communities here. And yeah, I will definitely have you back on the show to kind of take a different spin or dive in a little deeper. Every conversation you can go in deep, deep, deep. The depth never ends, I always say. Uh,
Agreed.
so I hope it was really, great master class. And I know I learned, or sometimes it's not even about learning new information. I find it's validating the things we already know and repeating and making sure that we are just kind of like wiring ourselves, programming ourselves with the right information that we need to move forward. So not everything must be new content, sometimes
Right.
we just need to validate and crystallize what we already know. So um, I think that's also very valuable. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day in Florida. And we didn't mention you're based in Florida. I'm based in New York. So virtually connecting from both places. And thank you again. And I will see you guys with another interview and another guest. Have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, Lona.
You are looking for a great strategic partnership with a well-known brand, Arbonne, that is a global brand, let me know, and we will be able to see if the opportunity that Arbonne has to offer is in great alignment with your life and business lifestyle choices and also your goals. Arbonne is a health and wellness company, and their mission is to improve people's health through their mind, body, and skin. Let me know if this is something that you're interested in, and we'll be more than happy to offer you more information on